Okay, so Meta. You said Meta. You said Palantir,
OpenAI.
OpenAI,
Yep.
Palantir, and there's one more company, right? Is it or just those three?
It's one more. Let me find the last one. Let me see. I can't find the last one, but let's focus on those three right now.
All right. So Meta, Palantir, and OpenAI, companies that we've talked about a lot. So if you want to tie it in from an investing standpoint, OpenAI obviously isn't a public traded company
Yet.
but if you look at Palantir, I mean, people have already said that Palantir stock is going to skyrocket based off of not just this war, but a series of potential wars that could potentially happen in the future. Meta, somebody, Mark Zuckerberg, obviously, he's been so dedicated to the presidency that he actually was considering buying a home in DC, to move to DC.
Good investment.
To be closer to Trump and his administration. And then you look at their stock, and it's up, and it's has gone up, right? So, yeah, is it a coincidence?
No. And I don't think most of Silicon Valley rushing into defense tech when that was looked at as an antiquated business perception-wise in Silicon Valley. I just think it's ironic to see the push into some of these wars, given the investment that they have into defense tech now. Meanwhile, Raytheon is not moving how it normally would, or Lockheed Martin isn't moving. We are having like a change of the guard amongst defense tech, but I wonder at what cost.
And even Anduril, you talked about them before. 60 Minutes does an expose on the CEO, and it's like you said, they're pushing defense tech like it's electric cars.
Yes.
They got
the new hot sector.
They got the CEOs have become celebrities.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about Anduril, whether you're talking about Palantir, the CEOs of defense tech companies have become celebrities. And before this defense period was a underworld. Like arms dealers. They made movies about arms dealers, like Nicolas Cage, stuff like that. Like you didn't even want to know. Those people didn't even want you to know who they were, and you didn't know who they were. Now it's like
the front
talk of the town, like, and it's like they acting like this is like the new toys that people are playing with, as far as drones that can destroy a whole entire city. That says a lot about the times that we're in, as far as investment opportunities, but it also says a lot about the times that we're in, as far as how war has become so mainstream that it has no problem being traded publicly and celebrated publicly as well.
I mean, tech has always been a thing. When people talk about growth and value, they find that in tech. And so if AI was a story and people have led the headlines with that, well, what's the next sector inside of AI? And I mean, we've seen what happens with Palantir. Ian, I'll add to what you said, because Raytheon traditionally is not a stock, but if you look at the history of the company over the past 3 years, RTX is a company that spawned from that. So if you look at RTX's chart in terms of what's happened with conflict, I mean, it's out of this world, right? And so you have to throw that inside there when you're talking about, I know Anduril was one of the companies you talked about, obviously not publicly traded yet, but it looks, all signs are pointing, and that's where it's headed. And we've seen some of the successful IPOs that have happened this year. That market is starting to open up.
Starting to heat up.
You're starting to heat up again. You've seen with Zuckerberg, you know where this is headed. I thought what Van said on Wednesday about Palantir was just like super powerful. Like, this is the most dangerous company in the world. And so now from an investing standpoint, especially from a retail standpoint, we always talk about morally investing. If you know these things, you know that. Do you invest in something because you know there's growth, but you know that destruction can come from it? It's one of these dilemmas that we all have to face at some point, I feel like.
Yeah, and even some people have been like, well, why do you like Anduril but not Palantir? I just said I personally would not invest in Palantir. Like, as far as the Silicon Valley space, I think Peter Thiel, that book 0 to 1 changed my life. I just personally would not invest into it, but I like Anduril because of the war that he went through with Meta. It's a classic revenge story. For those of you who don't know, the Oculus design which Apple then copied, came from Palmer, and they tried to bury him.
And the great thing about that is that allegedly what he says is that he got fired from Meta because he was supporting Donald Trump. That's interesting because he's obviously a pro-Trump supporter. He was very vocal about his support for Trump years ago. And at that time, I guess it wasn't fashionable to support Donald Trump. So in Silicon Valley, he was fired. That's what he says. Meta said that he was fired for other reasons. But now Mark Zuckerberg is one of the biggest supporters of Donald Trump.
Allegedly. Financially, but not morally. I won't speak for Zuck though, but
I mean, as far as forward facing, right? He donated $1 million to his
you gotta kiss the ring and not get the contracts. That's the part of the game that we're in. Halfway through the decade, you gotta kiss the ring.
So
Tim Cook isn't doing it, and they're paying the cost.